1. And here we are. We are live and everything works. And everything works on Discord. Everything works on... Yes, okay, it all works. Hello, everybody. My name is Paladin. And today is going to be the first of 4 different events that are going to entail an extremely comprehensive overview of how to grow a community Discord server in the TTRPG space. There is an immense amount of research that has gone into this, and also my own experience on top of that, to kind of give you an idea of who I am and why should you even listen to me? Like, what credibility do I have? Especially if you look at my Discord server and all I have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 channels. Okay, so I've been a DM for 13 years. I've been doing this professionally for 3. Before all of this, I used to be in the field of neuroscience, and so I used to work in the neuroscience ICU over here in Dallas. And I used to also teach neuroscience in the university as well. I was part of a national board, and so I was part of a crew that would make the national certification exams for neuroscience. And I also got accepted for a full-ride PhD for biomedical neuroscience to restore dead brain cells after a person had a stroke. But ended up not doing any of that. And then I went into D&D and TTRPGs full time. And so I have all of my extensive neuroscience, psych, all of that to kind of assist me with a lot of this. And whenever I first started Paladin's Archives, I had broken a world record in 2022. It was myself and 74 other DMs and players that had got together, and we played for 440 and a half hours straight. And so it was 19 days. How it worked is that every 4 hours we would switch on the same characters, and the DMs would also switch, kind of like a relay, right? Like you pass the baton off to the next person, and then the next person, and the next person. And so in that way, we ended up making it 19 days. And we have tried to break the world record again 2 more times, and there's going to be another attempt this year in December. But it was that first world record that really started the community here in Paladin's Archives. And so whenever I first started out, as a streamer, and I definitely was not running games for pay. And so I was running free games, I was running West Marches, I was very involved in getting a community together so that way people can have access to games at no cost, and also spending a lot of time connecting with people one-on-one and connecting people between one another. And so that's what I did for the first 2 years. And then at that 2-year mark, that's whenever I started feeling the struggle of like losing a lot of income, because it's not a very profitable business to go into streaming, I'll say. And so whenever I switched over to pro GMing, I had a switch of audience. And so I went from having a free community-based server to going into a business model. And so with that came a loss of a lot of audience members and all the pains and tribulations that come with that. And I also later had picked up West Marches and publishing as well. So then my audience changed again. And then one more time now with July, with me no longer running games professionally, now I don't run games at all. Now what I do is I make tech and automations for West Marches and other professional GMs. So how many changes is that? Let's see. It went from free to paid to publishing to West Marches to tech. That's 4 changes that I've had in my community Discord server. And so as you can see, those changes have resulted into what it looks like right now, which I'll be open and honest, it's actually not very thriving at the moment. And I'll use this as a perfect example, what I'm gonna point to in a lot of the things of the teaching and learning that I am going to do today, because I've been there. Actually, we had 750 people here once upon a time. Long time ago. This is like a long time ago. I believe if we look at it now, what is it? Let's see. 189. Kind of makes you wonder what happened. Story for another time. But the TLDR is basically, it's a severe audience change. Plus, there were a couple of bad actors that amalgamated and made a lot of problems. And so I had to kick a lot of people out at one point. That's the TLDR of what happened. And ever since then, I put a lot of time and effort in focusing on myself and my business, and not so much the community. And so it hasn't really gained a lot of traction since then, until actually very recently. When I stopped running games professionally last month, that's whenever I started putting a lot more thought and effort on how can we get a community growing here again, like it was before, because it was a very good, thriving community. And I put an immense amount of thought on how to get that back over the last couple of years, kind of realizing in my own perspective what worked, what didn't work, what were the problems, what are the things that really just don't like work no matter how hard you might try, and what are the things that do matter and don't matter. And so I have all of that experience, plus 311 sources that I have cited just for this week to create 4 distinct different talking points that are, I think, about a total of 50 pages total. And I also put together a lot of tools and tools and like checklists and templates for you guys, which equal, how many of those do I have? I made 14. So between all of that, plus there actually are also people here in the archives that have been here for a while that are also willing to volunteer their time to help some of you that that would like a little bit of extra one-to-one assistance in having a person there with you as you're kind of going through some of these things week after week. So I put all of this together just for you. And the only thing that I want out of it is that you guys just absorb it as much as whatever you can, whatever you are wanting to absorb. I don't expect that you guys will remember everything and become community experts in one day. It'll take quite a while, and each one of you will probably have very different communities from one to the other, and that's natural. And so a couple of rules just before we get started. So I like to have I like to talk with people. I like to have discussions. And so even though I'm up here talking and talking and talking, I don't like to talk to myself. And so I like to talk with you guys. And so if you guys have any questions, if you guys have any input, if you guys have anything you want to add, whether your own experiences or like anecdotes from your own perspectives, by all means, like throw them in. Like any information that you have that's going to add to the conversation is a thumbs up with me. And so it's not just me presenting up here like I am in academy and teaching how to do neuroscience anatomy to people. I never did like that, so I never did teach that way. And so I will have chances where I pause. I will ask you guys questions. The best way to make me anxious and not want to talk anymore is the silence. I just can't really do well with silence. It gets to me, I'll be honest, it really does. So I like being engaged and talking with you guys and really working with you so that way we can get you from where you are now to where you want to be, and also helping clarify any and all points that maybe you would like for me to explain some more, or maybe you have some questions about something or other, which is completely fine, even if it's a little off topic, as long as we don't get too off topic. The only other thing that I ask is that whenever you do contribute, do try to stay on topic, and also have it be relative to like the thing at hand, and trying to kind of pull each other in, ask a question, whatever it is. Just make sure that it is something that's like relative to what we're talking about. All right. I won't have you guys introduce yourselves again, and neither will I use your real names. And so I'll just use, oh God, I will use the first letter of your name, except for great, which I will use the second word for you. All right, or an acronym. But it'll be pretty obvious who I'm talking to, so that way you guys don't have to reveal who you are, and you guys don't have to reveal anything about the communities that you have and any of that information, so that we have complete privacy. That being said, now all this information that I have is available for you guys. I actually have it on my computer. I'm waiting until the end of this entire event today for me to send it, put it together, and give it to all you guys. And so I'm gonna send it via email, direct message. I'll put it somewhere on the archives as well. And that way you'll have access to all of this, plus the tools and everything, so that way you can start getting your community from where it is now to where you wanna get it to. All right, so with all that said, what do you guys think about all of that so far? Sound good? You guys ready to get started on digging in on what it is that makes a great Discord community and getting started?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Real quick though, I hope you noticed in chat there are a couple of us that don't mind you using our names.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's the other rule. I don't like to read whenever I stream. It's like
Okay.
so if you're messaging, I'm gonna ignore it. So, but I can totally look at it now that you mentioned it. So if you put my attention to it, I'll totally look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. GS. All right. Okay. So with that said, I am actually gonna take my shoes off because I like getting comfortable. Sit crisscross applesauce on my chair. And I like getting my gummies because I am gonna get comfortable. So, I hear from Eric. Is everyone else completely on board and excited to get started with what we're gonna be doing today?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. I heard two people. Anyone else? Anyone else? Gabrielle, you with us?
Yep,
Okay,
right here.
awesome. Okay,
Yep, me too.
so one sentence, at most like 10 words. What is the number one thing that you guys want most from building your community? We'll just pass it on. That doesn't matter who goes first.
Personal relationships.
You want more personal relationships? Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Gabrielle?
I was not sure.
You're not sure? Okay, that's okay. It's okay. Discovery is part of the process too. Tom?
Yeah, I was about to say a little bit more activity, but I think it boils down to more personal relationships between my players. So there is a little bit more going on than just this is the new thing. Be aware of the new thing.
Okay, activities and relationships. Okay. And what about for you, C?
Yeah, same, really. Community, like, just more going on, just more to interact with and to connect with other people there.
Okay, awesome. And so the second question is then, why would you guys want to go through all the effort of having that flourish in your communities?
Well, for me, this is my livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And having friends along the way just makes it better.
That's definitely true. And nothing is a more. It's like there's a metaphor in business. It's like the saddest life is whenever you build a business and you're on that boat alone at the end of the line. Oh man, I can't imagine. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a lot funner with friends, a lot funner with allies and people that support you, what you do. I agree. Tom, what about you?
It's hard to not copy you.
It's okay. if it's fine. You know, we all
Yeah,
you know, we're human. It's okay.
It's like sometimes it feels very isolated in a way because I like to have fun doing this, and I'm doing this as a side business, and with my friends when we are playing, we are talking outside of the games too, and sometimes there's fun stuff for the next session or so, and this is something I'm currently missing from these games. It's most of the time when I address my players is about some details for the game, and I would like to connect better with these people and feel more at home with them.
Yeah, in my experience, when you connect with your players that are on your server, you get to know them, you get to know the games they like, so you can provide more opportunity for them to play.
It's all very true, and thank you so much for sharing, Tom and Eric. Um, Gabriel, I know that you don't know what it is you want to try to get to as a goal, but you know why you would like to build your community server.
Yeah, I think I'd like to build a community server just because I think it goes to the line of I don't know who said it. If it was Pope who said it, going to the idea of it's better to have friends while I'm doing it, right? While I'm DMing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And see, what about you?
Well, I'm hoping to get sort of a community of players who all know each other somewhat. So they're comfortable kind of playing games with each other, going from game to game, and they kind of know who they're joining up with, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I completely understand. So it's like trying to get the relationships between the players a lot more connected between each other. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot stronger.
So I really like everybody's reasons, and I think that all of these reasons are very natural. Well, of course, I mean the whole purpose of a community is to have connections between one another, where people have the same values, where they support each other, where there are genuine connections happening between everybody in the community, both up and down. Doesn't matter if you're the owner or a new person that just joined or someone that's been there for quite a while. And then for me, like I'll also share as well. So my goals with the archives is that I want it to be back to what I originally had whenever I started streaming. And so I used to have a lot of people here that would connect through this space, and they made a lot of connections with each other. A lot of people before the groups in here, we beat world records, and I want that to kind of come back again. And also in the same aspect, that me also helping professional game masters as well. And then as for why, well, a lot of what I do is because I have it completely intent that I want to make the world a better place, and I want to connect people together through the medium of TTRPGs. And so the way that I do that is through West Marches, and also helping other game masters with their games, so that way they can also get more players together that otherwise would never meet. Because in that way, with more people meeting together, more people can make genuine friendships and make connections that would enrich their lives, as opposed to if the games didn't exist, in which case those people maybe never would have met at all, and their lives might have gone a completely different direction otherwise. And so that's kind of why I do what I do, and why I'm here, and putting all this effort in teaching people how to build a community, and also doing so many other things on top of that. I mean, if you look at my track record for the last 3 years, there's a lot of work that I put into connecting people together, and I'm very serious about it as well, because it's my number one goal has always been that for the last 3.5 years, and it's been pretty constant. But let's start from the beginning. So whenever it comes to building a community Discord server, or just a community overall, I'm excited to share that it's actually not as hard as it might seem, but it's the concepts that kind of trick people up a little bit. And so today what we're going to explore is the fundamental difference between communities that thrive and those that don't thrive very well, and then those that end up failing. And it all comes down to one critical choice at the very beginning, and that it's one that most people don't consider consciously. And it kind of comes down to, well, are we building a community, or are we running a server? And it's a very slight difference on what the difference between those two things are, but it's a world apart on what it means. And so this might seem like a simple question at first, but let's put it in this perspective. I used to be a professional game master. So I guess the question for me is, am I building a community, or am I running a business on my Discord? And Can't you do both? Yes, you absolutely can do both. But here's the thing that kind of surprised me whenever I started doing it. Switching from one to the other, and now switching back, and also looking into the research as well. So I have 311 sources that I put together to kind of back a lot of this up. And the answer to the question is, can you have both coexisting together? Yes, you can. However, the problem is that whenever community Discord servers have an alternative purpose or like an alternative goal that is not with enriching the lives or like the people that are in the community, it ends up creating a very nosedive downward, where 90% of those servers will end up becoming ghost towns within 2 or 3 months of starting it, and that's pretty normal. And the research is pretty clear on this with predictable patterns that make it seem really scary, because it's very accurate whenever you start seeing, if you look at different Discord servers, what exactly happens when they start versus what happens at 2 weeks versus 4 and 8. And so grab your favorite beverage and get some snacks, because this is going to be a very big deep dive into what is the philosophy and also the human psychology of what happens whenever we put people together, and what is it that occurs exactly with research based on 311 sources that kind of back up and tell us what it is that truly explains what is happening. So that way, whenever you leave today, you have a better understanding of how and why things are happening the way they are. And also, you don't beat up yourself as much, because I know we put a lot of effort and a lot of ourselves into our servers, and sometimes it's not anything that we're doing intentionally to prevent its growth, but more so that we just need a little bit more understanding of what's going on, so we can better facilitate the space for the people we want to lead. So let's start from the beginning. So why is it that most Discord server fail? And so the research shows that behind all the Discord servers that have ever been created, about 90% of them end up turning into quote unquote ghost towns, or at the very best case, somewhere between 5 to 15 people that are consistently engaging in that space. Multiple independent studies have confirmed that the statistic of 90% failure is actually pretty consistent across multiple sources. That means that out of every 10 servers created with big dreams and high hopes, only one will achieve what we consider to be sustainable. And even then, most tend to fizzle out less than 2 years later. And almost less than 1% of all of those servers end up being around 5 years in. So there's a lot that kind of goes into the maintaining of that, but we'll go into that later. We're just going to focus on the start, the very beginning, whenever starting a server. So before you start feeling discouraged, it's completely okay to look at that and be like, oh man, is my server going to be the one to grow? Yeah, I think it will. And I think it just comes down to understanding what's going on and knowing how to navigate the space of social media, Discord, TTRPGs, and people overall. And so the good news is that the TTRPG market is almost $2 billion. It's $1.9 billion and growing at 11.84% annually, which means that there's more and more people coming into this space every single year, which means that there's more and more people that are looking for communities to join and looking for communities that focus a lot on the thing that they're looking for. So if I had to just, if I had to take a general question out there, what do you guys think is the thing that people that are new to the TTRPG community, what is it that they're looking for when they're coming into this space? New players, new GMs, people that never played before.
Well, I think it's two things. Accessible game masters and possible mentors.
Okay.
And they want people they can approach, learn from, and enjoy the new hobby that they're wanting to invest their time in. And I think it's that simple.
Yeah, that's definitely one aspect of it. Yes. Is there anything else that you guys think people would be looking for coming into this space with this game?
If you're new, you want to share your experience.
Yeah.
You need a place where you can talk about it.
Absolutely. People, well, I'm not sure how much people, I mean, I guess with Dimension 20 and the popularization of D&D, a lot of people nowadays are looking for connection, to be able to reach out and connect with someone else and have that experience that of the game with someone else. And also, yes, also learning and having mentors and having a space where they can continue to have those relationships long term, right? I think I could very accurately say that if people are to choose a place where they're going to invest a lot of their time, they're probably going to choose a place that is close to their values, that they know is not going to die or fizzle out within 6 months to a year, that they know the games are going to last, where the people are fun and engaging, and the leader and the future of that community is one that inspires hope and growth, and not just like, once the game is over, there's nothing that happens in between. I think I can very accurately say that, people would want to have a good quality location where they can settle down and then foster the growth of whatever might come whenever they start playing with other people and sharing these connections and experiences with others, but also having it grow beyond just the table itself. The good thing about this game is that it really does a lot in order to connect people together. And the more that people focus on the professional side or the free side, it doesn't matter. The more that people focus on helping the players create those connections with each other, not only just at the table, but also between sessions out of the table as people, the better the quality of the games end up being overall, and the happier everyone ends up being as a result, the GM and the players, because it's the experience that happens at the table between everyone, whether you're a professional or not, right? Like, I think that looking back, there are a lot of games that I walked away from feeling absolutely energized whenever the players were all vibing off of one another. They all had really great connections. They all had really good like in between session communication, and they also had a lot of their needs met. Like, they were very happy. They had the social part of what they were wanting in place, and so they had security. They had friendship. They also were forming like genuine growth in like who they were as a person. And then also like getting to the point of like feeling actual love and like care for the people that they had formed connections with. And so like that's the goal whenever it comes to making genuine, just human friendship overall, right? Like, we want to be friends. We want to feel like we belong. We want to know that other people understand us, that they hear us, that they know where we're coming from, and that they listen, and that they care, and that they value what we think, and that they accept our flaws and our differences, whatever they might be, but also share the same values as well, right? And so that is like the foundation of what engagement and communities and relationships are all about. And so the more that we put attention to those things, the more we tend to see the natural flourishing of things happening overall. And so anything that gets in the way of the building of those bonds, of those connections with other people, you'll start to see that, it doesn't last very long before it ends up becoming a death spiral. I've seen it here happen in the archives 2 times. And it was whenever I switched into pro GMing, and then the second time was whenever there was a bad incident that happened after our 3rd marathon. I had to kick a bunch of people out. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good, and it kind of sucks. Like, to kind of go through all that time and energy, then to have it like plummet. And so it's kind of good to be mindful of like what the predictable pattern looks like for whenever a Discord server is like not doing as well. So this is typically how a Discord server tends to go through. So the typical pattern is that at first is the honeymoon phase. It's week 1, the server launches, there's genuine enthusiasm. If you had a bunch of friends that came in, there's going to be a lot of like, oh, this is new, this is great, we're gonna play TTRPGs, we're gonna create like the best community ever. There's actual excitement, and there's a lot of people that have high hopes for what's going on. Everyone is polite, supportive, and optimistic. and the creator is responding to every message, planning events, and feeling great about the new venture because everything is new and it's all hyped. 3 weeks later, so on week 4, so month 1, that's whenever stuff starts to kind of recede in hype and excitement. And so at that point, the initial excitement is worn off, kind of like a sugar rush. And so the server creator kind of finds himself asking a dreaded question, like, why is nobody talking? Because it tends to have a very hard drop off in engagement, where if maybe you started with 40, it's going to be like 10% of that. So like maybe 4 to 5 people are talking, and then tumbleweeds shortly after. And so members who join enthusiastically, they probably haven't posted in a couple of days. There's a few conversations that do happen that feel a little bit forced or awkward. Like there's small talk, like in an elevator where like you guys are talking with each other, but you're not really getting anywhere. You guys know what I'm talking about? If you guys ever experienced that, like in servers anywhere, whether it's your own or somewhere else?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it's even hard just to get people to talk about the games they're playing. Most people have their own lives, and at least in my experience, the only time they have to relax is when they schedule it to actually play.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like the only time they really ever come to interact is whenever it's time to play D&D, right? Like there's no, I guess for those situations where they have their own lives or they're not intending to have communication between sessions. I mean, that's what we expect for the people. But what about for the people that did want that? Like people that did have intentions on having those relationships, and then it just kind of fizzles out. Have you guys seen or experienced that before? Anyone? Gabriel, Tom, or anyone else other than Eric?
I'm thinking about it, and I think I generated most of the 20 people on my Discord by running one-shots. So they came for the one-shot, and then quite a few left after, and those who remained were there for the one-shot and not to make friends, basically. And so I haven't experienced this because I didn't get this far, basically.
I guess that sort of falls along the same realm. They're there. They were there for a little bit, but then they kind of, they were for the one shot. So they were around, but then they kind of dropped on engagement. But they're still in the server or some left, right? So yeah. I guess that also falls along the same lines. Whenever it comes to like ongoing, continuing building of the server, but this kind of quieting down it's actually pretty normal, and it kind of makes a lot of people wonder, like, what do I do? Like, what is it exactly that either I did wrong or what can I do different? And I think that's where a lot of us tend to kind of stay at for a little bit until we kind of delve deeper into like what is going on. But to continue on, so week 8 or month 2 to 3 is whenever it's considered to be a digital ghost town. And so that's whenever, by this point, it's effectively dead. And by dead, I mean, most servers, if the creator hasn't officially closed it down, will have maybe 1 to 5 people that are communicating in it, posting at least 1 to 3 days apart. At that point, it's considered to be a ghost town. And so at that point, the creator starts to wonder, like, okay, what should I do? Is there something wrong? Kind of like if you're at a restaurant where there's only one customer, you immediately start wondering, like, okay, is there something wrong with the atmosphere? Is there something wrong with the food? Maybe there is something wrong with the owner, maybe something wrong with the environment. But whenever people are looking at a empty and pretty, well, I mean, unengaged server, they start to recede away from it as a way of protecting from social contagion. And so that means that whenever there is a situation or a person, or like there's like bad vibes going on somewhere, people will typically stay away from it because they don't want to put themselves in any sort of situation where they will then burden themselves with a lot of that social bad juju, essentially. And so it's kind of the same thing here with like digital ghost towns, where people will look at a very empty place, and they might see the creator as either entirely given up or is trying to like get things to happen. Maybe they're doing giveaways to revive the community, or maybe they're trying to do different things to try to bring things back up, but then that's not really quite matching what it is that they're trying to get out of the community over a long period of time. And so it's a lot of those up and downs that kind of tends to happen in week 8 onwards until eventually the creator either stops trying, or there's a dramatic drop even more where now no one is talking, or then the server closes. And so that's like the worst case with servers in general. And so whenever it comes to TTRPGs, for those of us that are playing D&D, of course we'll still meet up for weekly games, but there's no between session engagement. And so when I'm talking about community engagement, I'm talking about things that don't have to do with the games themselves. And so pretend for a minute that the D&D games don't exist anymore. Take them all out of our mental brain work here. Between those sessions, how, like, if you think about how often people actively try to reach out to engage with each other, either joining voice channels, talking with each other, it kind of paints a little bit of a different picture whenever you take the D&D out of the question. And so whenever we take the actual D&D out, all that's left is raw human connection between each other. There has to be a reason for people to reach out and want to talk and want to contribute towards a conversation. But if there's not a dialogue to be had, it kind of makes it a bit hard, right? And so there are typically 5 main causes that tend to lead towards a community Discord death spiral when it comes to TTRPGs. And so here's what they are. And so they're pretty extensively analyzed across, I think, like about 300 to 500 servers that have been put through like studies of like trying to see what the usual suspect of what it is that contributes towards the crime scene, I guess, as you can say, of like what tends to like really tend to like make it start to plummet down and nosedive into the death spiral. And so here's what they are. So cause number 1 is that there's no clear purpose beyond let's play games. And so most failed servers have descriptions that could have been written by like a TTRPG description generator, a place for D&D players, or come play TTRPGs and make friends. And so these aren't purposes, and so they're hobby categories, but with about as much personality as a tax form. And a real purpose answers the specific question of what specific problem are we solving for what specific group of people. And so to give like a comparison of like me and like my server, whenever I first started out, I just wanted to have a place where people can come together and meet and thrive in the medium of TTRPGs. And so I didn't make it very specific. I made it so that way it was very driven around the big world record events, but those were ever like once every 6 months. Between those major time periods, engagement would plummet because there really wasn't any focus about what it is that I was doing here in the archives at the beginning. Despite there being so many people at 750, there actually was not as much engagement at the very beginning whenever I had Discord. It wasn't until after I kicked a bunch of people out, and then I started to focus a lot more on paid games and West Marches that the engagement started to bring up immensely whenever it came to Astalia and things relating to things like Valheim or Minecraft, or things that really didn't have to do with D&D, because it was more about the relationships between people at that point. And so at the beginning, I was also a corporate of like, yeah, I didn't have a clear purpose. I made it a place for people to come here and play D&D and connect, but why? Like, what problem am I solving for what specific group of people? And so it wasn't until West Marches kind of came about that I had a clear vision of an avatar, or like a very clear cut personality or person that I had in mind of what I wanted to provide a really good game to. And so for me, like my avatar for West Marches was that I was looking for someone that was ADHD and autism combined between ages 23 and 32. They were typically working in some sort of science background, or they worked like manually with their hands. And they also were looking for a place where they could belong and reach out to other people that also had similar comorbidities, ADHD, autism, and also looking for a really good time to just be themselves. And it was creating a place where people not only could go and have fun, but be understood. Because, I mean, going through the life of a neuro, I mean, I have ADHD myself. It's really easy to kind of go through the life and just kind of get tossed around with what happens in our world with neurodivergency. And D&D is the one way that we all ended up coming together and making this really good West Marches. And so I was fixing a specific problem for that specific group of people, where I was making a safe space where they can form genuine friendships, and they did. And that was the most that I've ever seen come out from the archives, despite the fact that I had 750 people before. The number didn't mean anything if the people that were in it didn't have the same shared value and the same shared purpose that it was leading towards. What do you guys think?
I'd say there's definitely some truth to that. Like, I know just in general across the board from surveys, people's feeling of connectedness is like rock bottom right now, just in general, regardless of who you are, even if you're playing TTRPGs or not. And so giving people you can't be all things to all people on the flip side of that. And so giving a specific group of people that you are passionate about a place to find that connection is probably the best way to go about it, I would assume.
It's very focused. Yeah, it means that you're thinking about the individual and like also their pain points. It goes beyond just like general characteristics. It goes into like, well, what does that person, like, what are their needs? What are they really wanting out of life? Like, what is it that they strive for? What are their struggles? What are their successes? What are the first three things that they're probably most likely going to have problems with, and how can I help them with that? And then what about the fourth? And then what about beyond that? How to make it easier for those people to connect with each other, right? And so that's a lot of what goes into having a special purpose towards a group of people. It's about more than just having a place to play games. It's about creating a place where a group of people that have shared values are like working together towards something, but also they have that place specifically made for them. It's kind of like a personally written love note written to all your players, but all your players have like similar play styles and like very similar perspectives on how they want to engage with each other. And they all do, like they all engage with each other really well, and they also are very compatible with one another. And so it wasn't until I started doing the West Marches for Astalia that I was saying no to every 3 out of 4 people that asked me to DM for them. So I would say no to a lot of people because I was looking for a very specific person. And so even if people were offering money up the wazoo, I was like, nope, I'm not going to run games for you because I'm looking for this type of person. And it wasn't until like I got that mass people together, I was like, oh, this is different. I really like this. And then it was the second time that I had a large group of people put together for playing D&D that I actually felt like I was pretty fulfilled with, like, socially I was very fulfilled and safe in knowing that, okay, these are not just clients or these aren't just people that are paying me. I actually like authentically feel connected to them and I care about them. I would actually like invest time to get to know them, and I would see them getting to know each other. And it was something that happened because of me, but it didn't continue because of me. They just continued to start connecting with each other. And then before I know it, they just were completely on their own, just having these connections outside of myself, whether I was doing anything or not. And that's kind of the goal when it comes to communities, to get it to the point where you can remove yourself for about a month, come back, and it's still there. Because then at that point, it's for sure like you had put in the proper amount of time and effort to make sure that what you had done and what you had created was something that's self-sustainable, which is the goal with communities. Otherwise, you end up burning yourself out overall by continuing to put messages, by continuing to put artificial messaging, or trying to get things going that maybe people don't want, or maybe that you think people want, but they don't ask for, if that kind of makes any sense. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one of my constant worries is that I'm offering up opportunity that just people have no vested interest in whatsoever. And I can't stand that. You know, I feel like I'm failing my community.
It's something that really stuck with me is for every person that you say yes to, you say no to someone else. And so inversely, every person that you say no to, you say yes and save the spot for someone else that could reserve that spot better for the time that you're investing in them. And so it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that people are wrong or like lost or like misaligned to be where they are whenever they do show up in our servers. But I think that wherever we put our time is wherever the like really where grass grows, or really like the crops of like nurturing tend to grow. And if we're watering a plant that doesn't want to be watered, or doesn't want the type of water that we have, or the environment that we can provide it, then the plant doesn't grow, right? Like a plant requires more than water. It needs heat, needs the right amount of air, needs the right dirt, needs the right shade. Otherwise, it just kind of dies. And there's some plants that are pretty fragile. People are sort of the same way in the sense that you need to have all the right ingredients for plants to grow. And if you're trying to grow daisies and you're also trying to grow watermelons and you're trying to also grow a papaya tree, it's just not gonna work too well. You kind of have to like be very selective at the very start, and then later you can have your community branch out. But you got to start with something specific first, because it's a lot easier to branch out from a core group that is very similar than to have a wide group that is not similar and then trying to get them all to engage with each other when they don't really have very many things they have in common. You know, it's like herding cats, but the cats don't want to be in the same room, or they don't have a lot of, or maybe they're different types of cats. You got tigers, you got lions, you got like house cats. It's not that they're not feline, it's just that they're just not in the same genus or like the same interest of wanting to do anything with each other, or in the right environment, or at the right time for things to kind of happen in the scope of where your server is at that point in time. And so all of that has to do with cause 1, like no clear purpose beyond let's play games. So here's cause 2: a owner-centric server instead of a community-centric design. And so a lot of failed servers revolve around creators, like planets, like planets around the sun. And so the owner does all the talking, makes all the decisions, runs all the events, and controls all the content. Members become passive consumers rather than active participants, which creates 2 fatal problems that compound over time. First, it doesn't scale, because there's only one of you, right? And so only one owner, only one person can maintain all the meaningful relationships, which is about 150 effectively is about the limit of what one person can keep track of at all times, which 150 is not a very big number. And that is also called Dunbar's number. And so it's as real as gravity is on the Earth. You can only maintain so many relationships at one time before you kind of like start to reach the strain of your capability as one person. And so when your entire community depends on you personally, you hit a hard ceiling on growth that feels like running into a brick wall. And so second, it creates a dangerous dependency. If the owner gets busy, sick, or burned out, the entire community collapses. I've seen that happen here because of me. I actually like burned out during, when was it? The second and third marathon I burned out, and because I couldn't play anymore, everything came down. And so the game couldn't continue anymore because I was too burned out to continue. And so that's like a way of showing like, okay, like if I leave, is everything gonna still be there? And if it's no, then there's a bit of a dependency issue. And so owner burnout is, okay, how common do you think owner burnout is in Discord servers, like percentage wise, just overall, if you throw a number? What do you think, Gabriel?
Well, I would say, I guess it's pretty common since I might be at the edge of it myself. No, just kidding. But I might be getting close to it. So I'd say like 20%.
That's a good start. A lot higher.
I was thinking like
So
85 personally.
67% in the first year.
Oh, I would have been close. I was guessing 70%.
Yeah, you're pretty close. 67% solo community creators report severe burnout within the first year. That's not sustainable. and it's definitely not fun. And I've been there before, but I'm so hard-headed that I'm like, no, I'm gonna get past this. I'm gonna get past this. And if you guys know me for very long, or you haven't known me for very long, you will if you stick around. I am like a workhorse. I can work and work and work and work. I was in the Marine Corps. I was taught to take a bunch of pain and suffer extensively until I die. It doesn't mean that it's healthy, but I can do it. So now, does that mean it's great? No. Will I do it? Yes, because I believe in what I'm after, and I want to really connect people in this space, and it's what I'm going to do, and I will learn and adapt. But I know now. I didn't know at the beginning, but I know now that if I'm getting to that point, there's something wrong with me and my approach, because it shouldn't have to require me burning out, having to like be here at like 2 a.m. after not sleeping for 4 days, thinking like, oh God, why did I decide to do this? Like at that point, there's a really big health and mental health issue there, physically and mentally, that really doesn't help the community overall. Because whenever they see that, they're like, wow, this person's really trying really hard. And instead of seeing it as a form of like, wow, they're really brave and courageous, they're gonna see it as like, man, poor guy, like I feel bad for him. And then that's when the social contagion starts to happen, and that's when they pull away. So social burnout is not good, because you're gonna end up pushing people away because they don't like looking at that. They don't want to be around that, right? Like people don't want to be around those sort of environments where people don't know how to distribute leadership, or how to healthily manage themselves and the people around them. And so if you feel like you're starting to burn out, go back, re-look at the framework of what you're doing, and consider a couple of things. Like, one, how can I include people to be the ones that lead the value and decide things, and not just me? Second is, how can I make this more involved in a fun way so that people actually do want to like come here and do stuff? And I don't mean like having a fun way to decide polls for like gamifying, like what movie do you guys want to see? But gamification actually that does work with XP and levels, which we'll go over later on. But being able to introduce people authentically and creating a culture where they are first and you are fourth. And I do mean fourth to last. You should be the last person out of however many people you have on your Discord server. You should be the very last in priority of putting your needs above theirs. And I mean that like literally and metaphorically, in the sense that I know that some of us have, you know, business servers, which is completely okay. It is possible to have both. But if it's very prevalent that you put yourself well before they you know, putting them in any sort of context of thinking about them and trying to make sure that they're taken care of, people are not going to follow you, because it's very obvious, you know, whenever having a server that it's about the money, it's about having client relationships, it's about having these games, and not about connections, friendship, making sure that they have their social and that their social needs met, that they're having what they're wanting out of a server met, that they're getting to contribute towards something that feels like they're contributing towards something good, instead of putting time into something that doesn't contribute to anything. That's very different between one versus the other. And which takes me to number 3, transactional relationships over authentic connections. In failed servers, most interactions are purely transactional, like a vending machine. Most people post looking for group messages, join games, play, and disappear back into the digital ether looking for the next game to play in. And so there's no relationship building, no genuine interest in each other as human beings, and there's no emotional investment either, like in the community's success, if it's only about the games. Not to say that the games can't be fun, but the games aren't in and of themselves the only thing that a community is about, because community is about more than just 4 to 6 people at a table. It's typically like 30, 50, 100 people, right? And so if you think about it, a game is the very smallest minority of the server overall. And so like if we think here, we have 4 out of like near 200, that'd be, I mean, let's see, I'll be a little bit generous. That's oops, 0.03 times 100. 3% of the server would be playing a game with me at a time. So I guess no, that's 7 divided by 200. Okay, 3.5% of the server is playing a game with me at a time. That's not community engagement. That's just keeping people entertained for that group of time between each other, which does help. But then it's whenever the game is not occurring that you start to see like, okay, did that game actually cause engagement between people? And if the answer is no, then there has to be more than just D&D that has to be prevalent in the space for people to engage with each other. More than just reminiscing about their games between each other, because what about if they're not in that game? What if they're not in that game at all? How would they then be able to form a connection with each other? Instead, focusing on things like, what are things that everyone has? Goals, fears, aspirations, wants. Like people have desires, people have a shared understanding of empathy, pain, things that they really care about. I think people really like having connection. People like feeling wanted and valued and thought about. Those are the things that really push communities together. And so the more you focus on those things, the more you start to see that there is less transactional relationships and more authentic connections. And so whenever I started Astalia, it was a West March that was based around one concept. And so the motto was connections first, games later, which meant that we were focused on making authentic relationships with each other first before ever playing a game. Whenever people joined, if they were like, hey, I want to join a game, hey, I want to join a game, I want to join a game. Great, not here. Maybe like if people, so what I would do is that I would look for places that people didn't actually play D&D before. So I would look in places like there were ADHD Discord servers. I would look in places that were about mental health. I would look in places that were like about science and making the world a better place, like places that had to do with recycling, places that had to do with very weird niches. There was one place that was about making gun parts, another one about geology, where people were talking about rocks and fish actually as well. So I would go to those places to find the people that I was looking for, because I was looking for really eccentric, very hyper-focused people that like were really good at really focused on one particular niche, and it was like the one thing that they're really good at, that they could talk about it for hours. But it meant I have to go to a lot of different places to find those people, not D&D, because then in bringing all these really unique people together, that's how I got to where I was with Astalia. And so I was focused on connecting people together. Like we would have a thing called it was I think I even have it here. It was the truthful introductions, where you don't just make an introduction, you take a prompt and then you answer a question about yourself. And so it'd be things like tell us about a time whenever you had the most fun, but then you also had something bad happen at the same time. But despite the fact that it was bad, you still learned something from it. And so it was more than just listing something good. It was listing something vulnerable about ourselves and having a real connection over something that basically every person can relate to. List the time that you had a bad time, that you had an embarrassing moment, but then you also laughed it off. List the time that you had failed at something, but despite the fact that you failed, you kept on trying, and then you eventually succeeded. Those are stories that people can connect over. And they also show a lot of who you are and what it is how you deal with those things. And those are the things that tend to bring people together. The things that are really real and authentic, because there's no person that goes through life and has a perfect story. Everyone has something. And I think that the more we can take those kind of like walls down, and the more we can create a safe space where it's okay to talk about those things and have it be completely acceptable to accept one another for who we are, the more you'll see that people will start to kind of like naturally form bonds with each other, because they can then relax. There's so many people that have walls built up from many relationships, many mishaps with this or that, where they're trying to protect themselves. But if they're constantly in defense mode, how can you ever expect them to connect when people have just constant walls around them? You know what I mean? Like, And that's a pretty consistent thing, especially now with millennials and Gen Z. And I'm not even sure about Gen Alpha. Maybe they're going to be different, but definitely with Gen Z and, and millennials, we have this sort of distance between us that's kind of been formed naturally from social media and the internet. So you have to kind of surpass, and you kind of have to like get right past and underneath that barrier to kind of be like, hey, it's okay, you can relax, like you can actually like be yourself here, like it's cool. Like we're cool, you know. But it's hard to convince people that unless it starts with showing that from the very beginning, from the top down, in and out, like what it is that, you know, the server is about. And also like it starts with yourself first, and also the very first 3 to 5 minutes of what people see whenever they come into a server. Be honest, whenever you guys came into the archives, what do you guys think? It's okay. If I came into the archives, I would think this place is a shit town. I mean, it's such a ghost town. A shit town. It's a ghost town. Like, no one's here. No one's talking. There's not a lot happening. Paladin's working his ass off. I'm not even sure what he's doing. I'm not even sure why I'm coming to this webinar, because this place is definitely not matching what it is that he's promising to help with. I'm going to be very honest in saying, like, that's kind of what it gives off looking at it now. So you guys can be real with me. What do you guys think of whenever you came into the server of the archives? First 5 minutes.
It looked like there was a lot going on the surface, but over the time, for a few days, there wasn't much traffic going on, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
very accurate.
Well, when I first joined, there was actually a lot present. And then I came back on another day and everything was stripped down. So I was like, it was when I first came here after that first talk we had. I was like, okay, I like the cut of this guy's jib. And then I show up on the server, I'm like, yeah, this is impressive. And then the next day it's like nothing. So I was like, do I really need to be listening to this guy?
Yeah, you came at the awkward period, right?
Like,
right
yeah.
between one and the other. Oh, that's awkward.
It's like
Yeah.
a crypto scam. They got your buddy and he's out.
Yeah. I only pretend to know what I talk about, and I'm out. I just came for the SPG reviews. That's it. That's all I'm mining here.
This is when you secretly try to get us to join your Young Living thing for your multi-level marketing. Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's like what did I just get into? Am I in a pyramid scheme? What's going on? Is this reality?
Is this a cult?
We actually had a cult here at one point. It was surrounded around drinking milk. Fun story. I'll tell more about it later. We did have a cult at one point.
Let's get right past that.
Okay, what about Gabrielle? Casey? What about y'all?
Well, I just got here like at right at the time this was starting, so
perfect.
it was. Yeah, I didn't really see anything beyond like just some people in the in the voice chat. So
I guess not to put you on the spot. If you looked at it now, it's very empty, right? Like there's how many channels are there? Six channels. There's not a lot going on there. There's a lot of channels you can't see. There's like, I think a total of 60 channels you can't see currently. Of course, only from 60 to 6. So yeah, it's very empty. I mean, even like
I
the
will
server
also
rules.
say, to your point, she didn't notice anything off when she joined,
That's true.
which probably is because there were people in a call.
That's
yeah, they're
true.
cool. And I had also read the announcement that you'd put out that you were doing an overhaul, so I didn't really expect to see much
Oh, awesome.
either.
Yeah. Thank you so much for reading the four message announcement. That's the biggest announcement I've ever made. It's a lot of stuff that's been going on for quite a while. That's all kind of like finally coalescing. Thank you so much for reading that. It's a lot to read, but I appreciate that you did take time to read it.
Well, like for me, everything disappeared before you put up that notice. So that's why I was like, when I read it today, and you had mentioned something in a previous talk too. So I was like, yeah, okay, I understand what's going on, but yeah. To the casual observer, though,
It looks like, where am I?
yeah.
Yep. If you're coming in and you don't know anything, let's say they just joined in. I think there was one person, I believe, that came in yesterday that had that same thing. Like, I'm looking in the general chatting. I'm not gonna say their name out loud, but they said, let's see. I'm very confused. I'm not sure what's going on here. Best of luck. I'm like, yeah.
I saw that conversation and I was like, yeah, I can kind of.
They said the very first message is the server on hiatus. Yeah, but no. Yeah, but no. No, yeah, but no. It was a very awkward, like, that they had no idea. They just saw me advertise this event somewhere and they're like, I'm interested. Needless to say, they didn't show up today. I don't blame them. But see, this kind of stuff where it kind of confuses people. It's like, which leads me to number 4. If I left everything as is, let's say they make an announcement. Let's say there was no event. What's the likelihood that you guys probably would have came back a week later?
Well, I mean,
For me, it's 0%. I would not come back.
well, no, for me, it was, we had a private conversation after that first time we met.
That's true.
And I was very intrigued. So I wanted to continue learning everything I could to better my community, better my own West Marches game that I'm developing, better everything. You know, and plus, you can't create in a vacuum. The more people you know that you can bounce ideas off of, the better.
That's true. Yeah, it's like the brain is not only mine and yours, but also the brain between us. We have 3 brains between us, right?
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely. But the point I'm trying to get at is that I have no systems for sustained engagement. I have nothing posting automatically. Me6 maybe gives you a level, but you don't even see the level channel. I have nothing. This is basically bare bones. Like, it's almost as if I don't have any moderators or any engagement bots, nothing, right? It's just like, okay, I got a channel. And that's it, and some rules, and that's it. It's not a lot to go off of, and so most servers fail because there's no systems for sustained engagement, and I do mean systems as in, like, it is an actual planned beginning to end. Like, this is what it looks like at the start, this looks what at the end, and it's also as separated from the user or like moderation input as possible. And so Discord servers that implement proper engagement systems, they see about 4 times as much daily chat and volume and 10 times improvement in a 28-day retention compared to servers without systems. And so these systems include things like regular events. Hey, we're having one today. Recognition programs, being able to shout people out whenever they succeed at something or something great happens. Onboarding processes, like you come into the server and then like there's an actual process of like getting integrated, like meeting someone, talking to someone human and not a bot is definitely something that raises the likelihood people will come back by 500% if you talk to them within the first 5 minutes. And it's like after that, between 5 and 30 minutes, the likelihood they'll come back is like about 75 to 100% at that point. So it drops significantly. And so being able to just say hi, literally just two letters, exclamation point, maybe a period, maybe there's nothing in, just 2 letters. You don't even have to capitalize the H. Just say hi, and not like a press the sticker here to respond, like, you know, like Discord does. I removed that from my Discord server. It actually shows a negative engagement whenever using that feature. Actually, it makes it worse for your servers.
Wow, that was something that my server takes advantage of greatly.
Yep, it actually makes engagement inauthentic and artificial and disconnected. Saying hi will, within the first 5 minutes, just someone saying something, likely they'll be around 500%, and even further 4,000% if you ask them a question. So back when, you know, I had a little bit more time than I do now, I would always ask this one question: do you like chewy or crunchy snacks? And I also say hi. You know, just like a list of things like that.
Now, for me, it was I always welcome everybody into my server, you know, with a sticker and a hello. And usually, so what brings you to my corner of the internets?
That's one of the responses that actually also contributes towards negative engagement is asking, why are you here?
Oh wow, I tried being very friendly about it though.
I know, it's one of those how can I put it, transactional social things. It actually ends up being a slightly negative, not
Hi,
terrible.
how can I help you today?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Like,
man, I
that's a
feel
little better.
horrible
Slightly
because
negative.
in my eyes, I'm always looking for responses like, "What games do you like?" And you know, if you're here for a start playing game, what can I tell you about it, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess I just need to work on my framework.
It's about, well, what are they here for? I think that people naturally would say what they're here for, but trying to get to know the person first for who they are before thinking about anything transactional creates a stronger connection at the start. I tried
Noted.
to I tried to delay. Actually, I try not to ask it at all typically, but sometimes you kind of do. At some point, it's like, okay, I want to make sure this person gets what they're needing, but also if it's required, if it's necessary for me to be the one to tell them, I'm probably not doing a good job with my server onboarding or the way that the server is laid out, which is a different problem entirely. They should be able to navigate the server pretty easily depending on what they're here for. Otherwise, this is very confusing, right? What do you guys think? So that's 4 so far. There's one more. What do you guys think about all of that so far? You guys can also disagree with me as well if you guys have different experiences or if you've seen similar things. What do you guys think? Don't let me talk to myself. I will go into an anxiety spiral. Oh! We'll start.
Well, I'm just going to offer
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
He's over there having his mind blown.
Right.
He'll be
right.
back momentarily.
I'm just gonna go in the corner and just cry to myself for a second. Just give me a minute.
Soldier on, man. Soldier on.
But yeah, what do you guys think about, let's say, everything so far? Surprising, not surprising, makes sense, weird, interesting.
Everything so far makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Good. Tom, Gabriel, Casey. What about y'all?
Well, Tom's away with
okay.
helping with the baby.
Oh, he is. Okay. Oh, messaging. Oh, I see. There's a message. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was having dinner, Father, but I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Nice. What's for dinner? What are we having?
Just chicken. Just
Chicken. Nice.
basically,
I like chicken.
my mother made us out of the chicken. It's pretty good.
I like that. So the question I asked, just to catch you up, is what do you guys think about all the information up to this point? Interesting? Do you have any anecdotes to add? Questionable? Anything you want me to expand on?
I don't have any anecdotes, but it's pretty good, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Anything surprising? Anything surprise you guys so far?
My approach to welcoming people, for one.
Yeah, say I also had that same realization. I was like, huh, because I read that a long time ago. It was way before, like way over a year ago, whenever I was looking up research on Discord communities and learning myself. And I realized, like, huh, really, having that thing actually leads to negative, because what it does is that it pings people. And whenever people get pinged, they get annoyed. So they mute your server, which is not what you want, you know?
Well, like, my problem, and I don't mean to take away from anybody else's time to talk here, but my problem is I'm an old fart. I am used to doing things pen and paper, and I am still learning technologies that can assist me. So when I discovered Discord, I did not realize I could look up ways to maximize Discord. My Google foo is quite weak. I have gotten better about it, but I still need to learn how to maximize my efforts. So again, one of the things that brought me here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, technology is a blessing. Too little and too much, and you kind of like, you go right off the edge, right off the cliff, and then goodbye. They would go into the death spiral. Anyone else learn anything so far that's kind of interesting or cool or kind of like surprising?
I thought that same thing was surprising.
Yeah.
The stickers. It makes perfect sense the way that you explain it. Like it's not a person. It's you call into the customer service line and it's a robot and you're just like, God damn it.
It's like,
But
God dang it, not the Discord.
I want to talk
sticker
to a
right here.
person, please. Yeah,
exactly.
I totally get that.
Yeah, it's almost to the point that I think I read online, I don't know how accurate this is, but people actually start to develop a negative emotional relationship to the sticker itself as well. So if you use it, people will react to it in a negative way outside of like those channels. Interesting, right? Like just like human learning, and it's like, oh, I hate it so much, I'm gonna avoid it. And so people don't use it. People don't use those stickers outside of those channels unless socially obligated. At least I can't think of a single time that I've seen it outside of those channels, at least. You guys, have you seen them used anywhere else?
I see them used all over the place.
Outside of the welcome channels for like the
Yeah.
reactions?
Yeah. Now, we only use them in the welcome channels on my server, but still, I've seen them used on many a server for just about everything.
And we're talking about Wumpus? Are you talking about the Wumpus reactions?
Yes. Yes, I am.
I have not seen Wumpus anywhere. Has anyone else seen Wumpus in other servers or anywhere else? I've not seen it anywhere beyond the welcome channel. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the oddity here.
Oh, I think Eric lives in a very strange parallel world where this sticker is used outside of welcome channels.
I do like the confetti one though. But the actual high one, yeah, I look at it and I'm like, oh no, it's back. Well, okay, so here's the fifth thing. So the fifth and final cause of what contributes towards server death. Confusion, and this is primarily towards pro GMs. We're so bad. There's no fault to us. I mean, it's just natural place, but we're here for a purpose. Confusion between business goals and community goals. It's not what you say, it's what you do. And it's what you put attention to that actually is the goal. So you could talk all you want all day long about the goal is to get to here because this is going to help you this much. But if it doesn't actually authentically show through your actions and the way that you're doing things, people are going to not believe you. So that creates confusion. So this is perhaps the most insidious cause of failure because it often affects well-intentioned creators who genuinely want to build something valuable. They start with pure community intentions, but gradually shift towards business thinking without even realizing it's happening. Even in a free server, because what happens is that, well, like here, I mean, Me6 isn't free, right? Like money doesn't grow on trees. I mean, I have to pay for Discord, Apollo. I have to pay for all these subscriptions. Where's that money going to come from? Right?
Yeah.
Like, is it?
I have to admit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to admit, I used Me6 on a previous server of mine and bought a lifetime subscription to it, but it was such a negative because at one time all it was doing was telling us the people that left.
That's one of the features I turned off. I had it on for the longest time, but then eventually I'm like, why am I putting wherever you put your time and energy is what you see. So here, just like a little break. So just do all of you just like do this little experiment for me. I want you to look around the room and what you're in right now. Like actually look around and look at everything that is red and count the number of things in your room that are red or reddish. Just like take 10-15 seconds. I'm gonna look with you guys. Okay, I got my count. All right, you guys got your number?
More than 3 dozen.
Hold on, don't share it quite yet. Do you guys have your number for what you saw?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. That's good. Gabriel, great. Tom, Izzy, you guys got your number?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell me the number of things that are yellow that you saw. Might have to take a double look. Whatever you look at, whatever you're looking for is what you're gonna find. If what you're looking at is something that's negative, that's all you're gonna see. That's why I got rid of the leaving channel for Me6 a long time ago, because it made me feel sad. It made me feel awful that people were leaving. It didn't make me feel good. It didn't bring any value to me to know that someone left. And if they did, they didn't say goodbye most times, right? They just kind of like leave. And so I think that whenever, in the same way, like whatever we put our time and attention to, whatever we allow ourselves to feel, be affected by, it's going to translate directly into not only just like short-term feeling, but also medium and long-term behavioral changes as well. What's going to happen because of the constant stimulus of like someone left, someone left, someone left, someone left, given over a long period of time? I'm probably going to have some sort of reactionary change to that at some point, or I'm going to develop some way to counteract it. Maybe even like counterbalancing and overcorrecting a little bit too much, trying to fix a problem and fixing the wrong problem. And so that's a thing that happens with that specific feature, is that people see it like, oh, I got to prevent people from leaving. But then it creates a little bit too much of a, like trying to hold people in. It's like almost like a scarcity mindset, like a desperation sort of, like there's not enough energy, or there's not enough abundance of people or social interaction. So I got to try to retain it, and I got to hoard it, and I got to keep it in. It creates a very different relationship, and also the way that people think, plan, and also engage with other people socially as well. It's very, very insidious, actually. And it doesn't start off like that, very prevalent at first, but then if you kind of like look at a person's behavior over a long period of time, neurocognitively, you will actually see that that stimulus does affect someone negatively, because the one thing that humans are built around is that we want to feel like we belong, and we want to feel like we're connected. So anytime that we feel rejection, that hits us pretty hard. I mean, rejection is a very hard thing for us as like social creatures. And so anytime that we see that, it is hard to not make it personal sometimes. No matter how many times we see it, it always kind of hurts a little bit, even if it's just a tiny bit, like, oh, we weren't good enough, or like, oh, they didn't want to stay, oh, I didn't quite create enough value. And when it might not be any of those things at all. And so it just creates like the wrong mindset of approaching it. It's like, okay, well, instead, maybe it's like, well, I guess they went and found a better place that's kind of more for what they're looking for. That's kind of a more of a positive way of looking at it. This is not the community that provides the things that they're looking for, so they went to somewhere better. That's how I like to think of it. Or if I genuinely did fuck up, then I'll go and apologize, and I'll try to make amends. Doesn't always work, but I try my best. But it's that negative stimulus, like someone left. It's very negative. Or if you are going to keep it, you can actually reframe what it says so it could say something like, so-and-so person went off to another community where they can feel like they belong, or where they belong better, or like get better value. There's a better way to word it than what it says there. Someone left the server is very forward and negative. It kind of hurts, and it's too pointed. I really wish they would change it a little bit for the sake of psychology and the way that people react. But yeah, that feature in and of itself creates a lot of problems. It's nice to know, though, whenever people do leave, but I turned it off a long time ago because I didn't like it. It made me feel very, very, very sad. You guys know what I'm talking about when we're talking about the left the server feature on Mi6, like the auto posting that it does. Has anyone used Mi6
for
before?
sure.
Oh, you have? Okay.
It's just very, very direct.
Yep. It's like so and so left the server. They're gone forever. They're never coming back. Maybe not that extreme, but it does feel, it has a lot of weight in very few amount of words. But anyway, to continue back right where I was at, confusion between business goals and community goals. So in a business relationship, it's all about being able to give more, to be able to fix the problems of those that you are serving, either with products or services, right? And so it's a measure of success based on longevity of how long you can retain that customer relationship with that person, which means that you have to have follow-up. You got to be able to have some sort of stickiness or some sort of relationship with that client that retains them having to come back, and also prolong that relationship for a long period of time. That money is then invested in better solutions or better ways to fix the problems that customer has, that the pains that they have, right? And so that's kind of how a business works. In a community, though, there is no expectation of give and take. It just kind of happens. Like, it just kind of naturally comes together where people receive that attention and social connection, no matter what. But in a business relationship, if you're not giving me money, I'm not giving you service. I'm not going to give you my product if you don't give me the money in exchange for the product, right? It's a very different shift in perspective. And so Whenever people start seeing themselves more as customers instead of friends, that tends to drop retention significantly, and also the happiness metrics as well. There's actually been studied that slowly but surely, community feeling dies if you started off in a place of community like I did, and you replaced it with transactional marketplace. That it could still feel warm, it could still feel friendly, but it's not giving. It's not without expectation. There is some sort of give and take that wasn't there before, and it wasn't to their consent. Maybe they didn't agree to this business relationship when they were here to begin with, and now it changed. And so now, because everything's changed, the clarity of like what of their position in this organization or in this survey or this community is mixed, and it creates overall with like most recent studies 40% lower engagement, just overall, just if you have a business at all in the server, period, compared to normal Discord servers that don't, because members can sense that there's conflicted priorities even when they can't articulate what feels off. It is possible to have both, but you got to be really, really, really good at being able to maintain those relationships separate while still being able to keep people connected and being authentic at the same time. It's hard, right? Like, imagine trying to have business with someone, but then you're also your best friend. Imagine you're trying to do business with someone and then also you're married or your girlfriend. It's very hard. Like, it's a very different mindset of how to approach engaging with someone, and also where are the limits, where the lines get blurred. The other person also needs to have a very good understanding of that as well, and they also have to be very socially intelligent and aware of what that relationship means with you and with them. And if not, then you're going to lose them very quickly. And most people, unfortunately, don't know what it means to have a business, because most people don't start businesses. Most people don't go into business. So it's hard and almost unreasonable for us to expect them to empathize and even know what our side looks like. They can understand, but they'll never be able to entirely empathize with what it is that that we're going through. Starting a business is not easy, and I think that those of us that are pro jams know, like, it takes a lot of effort. It's not easy at all to start, maintain, or keep over a long period of time. Much less trying to keep the same clients for a long period of time, the same games going, right? It's very it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of growth. It takes a lot of skills that you didn't have before that you have to build: marketing, sales. You got to work on delivery. You got to work on quality. You got to work on professionalism. All these things, right, that set us apart from someone that doesn't have a business. And so because of that, there is a very clear delineation between business owner and consumer. And that's something that is very almost, I don't want to say black and white, but it is definitely felt whenever there's even an underlying concept of like, I think this person might be trying to get something from me, but I can't feel it. And I'll be honest, look, I have a tech company here, right? You guys are professional GMs. I'm not trying to sell you anything. You probably get a feeling like, is this guy just trying to pull me towards selling me something eventually? Even just that little thought alone, it's like, all of you technically are my target audience, or someone I could sell to. I'm not trying to, except for Eric, who actually does fit it perfectly, because I was like, oh, perfect, I actually have what you need. You're the only person that I'll say is the exception out of everything, because I only give things to people that I know I can fix the problems that they have, or I can actually genuinely help them improve the things that they have an actual pain point in. But for everybody else, I actually don't talk to anyone else directly about giving them or selling anything to anybody, unless they approach me, because I don't want to blur those lines at all, unless I have something that is specifically made. Like I worked like night and day for 9 months so I can make the system for Eric, which I know I'll be open. Like you and I talked about it a lot, right, the other day, for West Marches specifically, because that's what I do. I'll be open and honest. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm always gonna be open and honest. But whenever you can already kind of tell, like, imagine if I didn't say that. Imagine if I said instead, I am trying to maybe sell something to all of you, and I'm actually lying right now. And maybe down the line, I will make an actual like sales call to you. You might actually look at me a bit different. You might look at me like, oh, this guy's kind of like, he's kind of working the system. He's got an angle going. That's how people look at us as business owners, even as a professional GM. Any point that there's money involved, it kind of creates that perception. You just can't do anything about it. It's just there, because it does create a shift in how that relationship works between each other. And it's for that reason that I don't have my games in the server. Astalia is in a completely other Discord server. Rapinathic, other Discord server. I don't want to mix relationships, business. I have my game somewhere else. Whenever we play over there. Whenever we want to relax and connect, we come here. And that's how it's been for about a year now. Haven't had any problems since, because I didn't want to continue to have that friction where I felt like I had two communities like that were going against each other. Whenever I first started teaching professional GMs back in December, I felt it. I knew it because I had my games here, but then I also had the professional GMs. And I was like, it doesn't feel right. It almost feels like I'm attending to two different conflicting audiences, and they're not compatible. They're not wanting to like come together, and I couldn't fix it. I just had to separate them out because it wasn't compatible. Business and trying to grow a community. I realized it felt weird. It felt very stringent. It felt very disconnected. And I would say that the people that came here initially also felt that as well, because I had conversations with them, and I'd be like, hey, how do you feel now that I removed Starly from the server? We're like, oh, it's almost like all of that, like you had to like be part of the party to like even say anything here. It was like all gone. Like all the clickiness, all the past history is like somewhere else, as it should be, because people should feel like they belong and not like they have to know 4 years of history to actually like get into the conversation, which is like not a great thing to put people up against, because it makes it harder for people to connect. And so anything that gets in the way of people connecting, I try to fix it or move it somewhere else. And so that's why I don't have my games here anymore. In fact, I don't even run games at all, but we are going to have the West March coming up, but I'm not even going to GM inside of it. But even if I'm not GMing in it, I'm still going to have it somewhere else, so that games are somewhere else. Connection is here. So it's kind of like a umbrella server. Like it's got a purpose of why we come here and why we go over there, but we don't mix the two. So we're not engaging over there and then also playing over there. All of those channels are over here, and over there is only roleplay and only gaming and nothing else. We're not sharing pictures, we're not sharing memes, we're not doing any of that. It's only RP and only games. That is the conclusion of the first half of the first out of 4 documents, but I'll give a pause there. What do you guys think so far? Does it make sense? Does it seem logical? Does it seem maybe extreme? Does it seem like it's an extreme oversight on one side or the other? Also, you guys don't have to agree to my philosophies. You guys can tell me that, like, I wouldn't do that myself, but, you know, that's okay. I don't expect people to do what I do.
No, I think it all makes sense so far.
Yeah, again, trying to give space for other people to talk, but I would not still be here in this call if these things were not making sense to me.
I'm glad that they're like logically and also like logically making sense. I try to approach this through the perspective of like, let's reason it out and not just make a bunch of statements, right? And so, which is why I did all the research. I wanted to make sure that all of this was actually backed by actual evidence. So I spent 4 days getting this all together just for today on its own. Well, I'll give you guys some space to tell me what you guys think. I'll let you guys speak and give your thoughts, and maybe we can discuss. Okay, so those are the problems. So what do you guys think would be some of the fixes that you would do for some of those things? Oh, and if you want to know what they are, I'll repeat them again, because there were 5 of them. And I said a lot. So it was, the 5 root causes of server failure are no clear purpose beyond let's play games, owner-centric instead of community-centric design, transactional relationships over authentic connections, no systems for sustained engagement, and confusion between business goals and community goals. So what do you guys would be some fixes for a couple of those things? Even if it's not something that you just generally overall, what would you guys think would be some things that would maybe offset some of that friction or make it a bit better to manage?
Well, I guess one question for the purpose of TTRPGs online and whatnot is Is there an issue with them disbanding after a certain, like, a lot of the game is more petering out than conclusion, at least in my experience, which is the unfortunate thing, rather than them disbanding, is the lack of closure on them.
So in this case, we're gonna pretend like the D&D games don't exist because they don't actually add towards the community as much because it's like a small percentage
I
of the
wasn't
whole.
sure where
Yeah.
this was aimed at.
Yeah. So the D&D games are good. Don't get me wrong. They add value, but we're gonna pretend like the D&D games don't exist for a minute, and it's everything outside of that. But you said it's
they're
whatever they
more
don't
like
have.
any other event, right?
Yeah, it's like it's expected, right? It's a game. We're here to play it. Okay, so what's gonna keep us together between the games? It's that aspect of the community engagement that I'm really referring to overall. Because if it was only D&D, oh, that'd be easy. All you have to do is run games. But that's not enough, as studies have shown, and as we have seen consistently. That's not enough to grow a community to be bigger and bigger and bigger if it was only about D&D. It has to be a bit more than that. So I'll actually pause myself and I'll let you guys talk.
So I'm brainstorming an idea about using Me6 to allow my players to unlock free games of my paid games. Kind of give an award system for loyalty, for hanging around, because a lot of my games on there are paid games. Now I'm trying to implement more free games, and I've come up with some ideas during this call, but I want to make my games more accessible to everybody. I think that's a good first step.
That sounds reasonable to me. I know that Paladin was talking about like separation of community and game servers, essentially. Like most of your game people should probably be in whatever your community server is, but keeping them separate and having it be you know, where you go somewhere else to do the thing, even like, which just psychologically is the same as like if you work from home, all of the research says don't work from your bed, because now it's not your bed place, it's your workplace, and you'll hate it, you know?
Right.
So
Well, my counter to that is I have my bedroom and I have my office. I actually have 3 servers.
Yeah,
One
perfect.
specifically for my my gaming, period, of all kinds. I have another that I'm developing just for my West Marches game, and then I have a server where I do my solo gaming, my personal me time. But I want to have one big grouping where other people will feel comfortable running games when I'm not running games or while I'm running games.
yeah.
You know, I want interactivity, not just me pandering to the masses.
I think this is a good way to approach it. Pick one of the 5, and then think how to solve that, either in your community or just generally overall. It'd be preferably better to not focus on your own community in this case, so that way we can kind of get each other with each other's stuff. Maybe trying to fix someone else's potential problem, or just kind of coming up with an idea overall. So that way you guys kind of can start thinking of like, okay, well, if these are the problems that are going to happen, how do I steer clear myself from these 5 different things? Either you yourselves or overall.
I think the easiest one is I don't remember the exact wording you had, but for like in the onboarding, essentially, and doing
systems for sustained engagement. That one?
Yes. Starting obviously with onboarding, which is super easy to set up, but then actually having, you know, an actual plan for keeping someone around for long enough that they plug into the server itself, to the community, and become, you know, a member of the community as opposed to the new guy.
So what are some ways that what is one way that you would start to approach that?
I think just using Discord's onboarding feature at the very beginning and like setting it up in a way that is user friendly and easy, so that you can skip all of the weird, like, hey, what are you here for? Like, it's clear what you're here for. The roles are already sent to you. Everything is automated on the sort of business side, letting the business be through Discord, kind of, especially for like TTRPG servers, where like you can just pick, I'm here for this game or whatever, and sign up for it through that and get the role to the channel. But then, you know, for the actual community, making those first touches personal and from a person instead of from a robot.
I like it. I think that's yeah. I think that generally is. I mean, it solves the whole problem overall. There's different ways to do it, right? On how to do it, but yeah, that generally is like the solution is. So I guess I'll cross that one off. So systems for sustained engagement. I'll cross that one up. So it's the other four then, and I'm writing them down in the VC chat so you guys can see what they are.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go.
Extremely.
I will mark off the one that is no longer, because that number 4 is like easy. You just gotta have a system to engage somehow.
That's why I took it.
Okay, well there's 4 more. Good job.
I think the first one is the hardest one, personally. Trying to find what your specific niche is and the specific niche of people that match your passion, essentially, your that gel with you and want to be around other people who also gel with you, you know.
I agree.
Yeah.
Number 1's the hardest.
So, the first one, I think that is also something that stuck with me throughout the entire talk. I don't have the desire to push anyone from my server, and I know that some of my players do clash. I actually had some drama between 2 of my players in an outside game in which I wasn't involved, and I tried to help them to talk to each other, but in the end it was not on my playground and the situation didn't got better. Still, I do like both, and one of them is a longtime friend of mine, and the other one is a new friend that I found through this game, and I'm still talking with them even though they're not in a game right now with me. And so I'm more in we're living in a very diverse landscape, and there must be a way to bring diverse people onto a common ground mentality.
You can't force people to change the way they think about others and engage, I guess. You can only control yourself and can affect other people so much. But if it's a thing between 2 people, it's 2 people compared to how many?
My massive Discord server is about 21 people. I just checked. Much more interesting is a larger community of which I'm a member, which is the Horror and Illusion Con. They have one big online convention a year. And they have a ton of different people there. It is mostly cult-centric, but we run a lot of other games there. And we have a few GMs who are running regular games, and then we have like a ton of industry people there who are actually writing the games that we are playing. And there is some talk about the games that are run throughout the year, but the activity is just peaking at the main event, and because we didn't want to wait an entire year, we decided to do a community-led convention in spring, which was a huge success and also very tiring to organize.
Yes, I can imagine.
Uh,
I'm kind of wondering. So like when it comes back to like the situation between your friend, very important. It's very personal. I'm not saying that those things are not important. They absolutely are. What does everyone else in the server? What is their say on it? What do they think? Does it affect them?
well, it doesn't affect them because most of them aren't playing with the two
Okay.
and don't know about the thing. It's not something that was there was no fight in general chat or anything like this. This was, as I said, happening in a completely different server,
Okay.
and it just spilled over into my gaming table. So it went in DMs between me and the two, and the group, as far as they are concerned, are fine with how things have settled. Yeah.
I think that it's good that it resolved. It's kind of unfortunate whenever things kind of do spill beyond the boundaries that they're supposed to be in, right? Because now it affected, or it got exposed to someone else, right? Potentially someone else thought that maybe shouldn't have. But it sounds like if it's not making problems anymore, then you did a good job of maintaining it, as long as there's no like ill will or anything negative that came out of it that's continuing, right? So overall, it sounds like it's okay. Community wise, like if it's not creating like problems between members, like if it's not causing a massive disruption, like those things like will come up pretty infrequently, especially when you're playing D&D. People are just not always going to agree on everything, right? It's just very contained. But if people can't resolve stuff and it doesn't get contained, well then that's a different problem altogether, right? It's like whenever people can't resolve conflict in a very good way, that starts to become a little bit of a problem, and it starts to affect everyone else around them for sure, especially when it's very public. But that's I guess like an issue of like, well, does this person know how to solve conflict? Like how did this get resolved? How was it talked about, etc., etc. Overall, I think that the TTRPG community, from what I've seen, it tends to be very safe in the sense of like I haven't, at least here, I've not had to moderate anyone in a very long time. I haven't had to kick anyone out for this being disruptive or being misogynist or etc., etc., etc. It's very rare that those kind of things come up. People tend to be very mindful socially nowadays, at least from what I see. Maybe I've just been lucky. I've also heard stories, horror stories especially. But in the paid sector, I think that people tend to be financially in a really good spot, which says a lot about, you know, their mental health and the way they socialize and being able to get to that point. So I think that, fortunately, on the professional GM side, we tend to be on a better spot than trying it from the community side. Free community server. Let me tell you, there's a reason I kicked out so many people whenever I did. This was not a great group. I wasn't very mindful of who I was letting in and what it is that those people were contributing. They were contributing a lot. I think that like running community events is very hard, especially when it's a big event, right? Something that's organized. Something like that. It's like months of planning and a lot of people contributing. Good on you though, like for being able to pull that off. That shows a lot of you and also the people that contributed. I really like that. What was it about?
This was basically just whoever has time on this weekend can run a game, and we can do a lottery to assign seats. And yeah, it wasn't strict in any sense that we just want to see horror games, but it is a horror server, so we had a great palette of different horror games, and we ended up with 40 active games.
Oh wow, 40! Oh my god, that's a lot. Whew, that's a good amount. That's impressive. Congratulations on being able to put that together. That's really impressive. It's not easy. I'll tell you from experience, it's not easy. It's really really good.
We were standing on the shoulders of giants, the original organizers of the main convention helped a lot, and we had this community that could be activated. It's just dormant throughout the year until until the big announcements come.
It makes sense. It's there for the big event and everyone comes together. But then between it, kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. How do you feel about that comparison? Like looking at that and then seeing like your server, and then seeing that other server like with the organizers. How do you see yourself in all of that?
I've put more work into the big server that's run by friends of mine than into my own. Which is fine with me.
Oh, that's good. So
Because until now, I was just seeing it as my I want to organize my games somewhere server, and now I'm thinking at a larger scale and want to create a place that is actually helpful to people. So, yeah.
I guess you could say it gave you purpose, working towards something,
Yeah, definitely.
which is number one, right? It's like you had a goal, came together. It was but you made something, right? And it was something that was very giving towards others, which, there you go. Like, number one, like purpose beyond Let's Playing games. It served a purpose, right? So like there was a give to it that you put a lot of time, and you felt really good about it. Like felt really good that the event happened, seeing people play together. Also, should be proud of yourself. That 40 tables is a really good achievement. So congratulations, they pulled that off. But there you go. Like it's that same kind of feeling as well. Like being able to put that into your own server, which can't be hard to attain unless you had like intention of what that is. Which is kind of how like I feel here with you guys. Is like I'm helping you guys, but it's like I don't really get anything out of it myself. I'm just entirely just giving because I want to give and change something. It's that, right, for like number one. So let's move away from number one and number three. Number four. The other three are owner centric instead of community centric. That one's easy. What do you guys think would be a change there? How do we change from owner to community central focused?
So one of the rules that I had in place on my server is that there's only advertisement for my own games, and of course we can talk about RPGs and stuff like this, but it was against the rules to advertise outside games or outside tables, and
Yeah,
funnily enough, when I broke this rule, it came back to bite me because both players ended up in that game that spilled over into my server. But I now I'm questioning this rule very much, and
well, I will say that you can have that rule and still have community-centered involvement, because advertising does create a little bit of a conflict. Some conflict of interest, some liability, some, not a lot, but some, right? So, especially if it's like part business, part community. Here, I'm okay with you guys advertising anything in the spaces if you could see them, right? But you can't have that. You can't have that and also be community centric if you wanted to. There's a lot of servers that have that are successful. Is there a reason you feel like that is a main? Well, I won't pick on you, actually. No, I want to ask you to explain. I don't want to dig into things too much, but some other things. What do you guys think would be another way of kind of making something more community-centric instead of owner-centric? Ian Dingbat, do you have any ideas?
So I don't have much experience running large-scale discords. But anything that kind of distributes that ownership to them. So, and you guys talked about the different events and whatnot. So, just anything that can help them see, or at least feel seen, makes it feel more alive. I
used to have something called, what was it? It's been so long since I've had this, because it's really been a while since I've had more community centric stuff here. It was called the Archives Town Hall. It happened once a month. It was the last Sunday of the month, and then in the Archives Town Hall, I would essentially, that giant update of news that I had that created that update. It wasn't originally like that. It was, I would have it on paper and I would talk about it with everyone. And I wouldn't just say, this is what's going to happen. I would say, here is something that I realized in the server. Here is a solution to that. Do you guys have any solutions that you guys want to bring into this? I mean, I would actually ask them for their solutions first before stating my solution, because I'd want to hear their ideas and not just kind of default to mine. But the more that you can give ownership of decision making, and also deciding like events, deciding what it is that gets played, deciding what it is that the community rules should be. Whenever you can give off the leadership and the final say on things to other people, they then feel empowered. Because even just asking them, doing a simple poll, what game do you guys want to play on Sunday? Do you guys want to play Minecraft, Valheim? You guys maybe not want to play a game? You guys want to watch a movie instead? Maybe it doesn't have to be a movie. Maybe you could just sit here in silence and just stare at each other for 30 minutes, because some of us are weird like that. So it's like, the more you can give off like ownership of what happens, the better, and the less you can take onto yourself, the better. Also, letting fires burn is a really, really good thing. If there's a problem and I have moderators, I don't do anything. I just let it happen. I sit there and I watch, and I'm like, okay, nice. I just bumped on Discord, and now someone is posting furry stuff on my server. I'm just gonna wait to see how long it takes for someone to react. Oh, good, someone took care of it. The more that you put yourself in the position of being the problem solver, the more you teach other people what to expect from you and the space. So you kind of have to let people kind of like burn a little bit until they had enough of all the furry stuff, and then then someone complains at some point. That's the bystander effect. The bystander effect is if there's something that happens and you're in a group of people and everyone sees the thing happening, no one takes ownership over it. And so it takes having to point someone out and being like, you do this, in order to have the problem be fixed. Otherwise, people will not do anything, and it will lead to just nothing happening, because no one wants to take ownership in that case, when everyone has equal responsibility. It's pretty interesting. You also can't really fault people for that too. If you have like 10 moderators, for example, that's a lot of moderators. But also, they would also, even if it's 5 or 3, people would struggle to react to those things, which says a lot. It's like, leadership is a very intentional thing. So whenever you do get to the point of getting leadership and moderation and administrators, seeing how long it takes for fires to burn is a very good way to train people. In fact, I'll tell you guys a secret. I start my own fires here, actually. I'll be the one posting stuff sometime as an alternate account, just to kind of keep people on their toes. Because whenever things do kind of go down during like an actual marathon, where actual things happen, like I had things happen here where there was like a 65-year-old guy that would show up drunk all the time to the VC. He was sending dick pics to all the 18-year-old girls in the server. Not great. There was another person that was also like coming into the server, and he was yelling at everyone for playing D&D 5e, and also was like, he actually was like an actual misogynist. He hated women. He was saying how much women suck and stuff, and that was terrible. I really did not like that. Whenever those things happen, people have to be prepared. And so being able to give training to people like, hey, I'm gonna make an alt account and actually cause a little light trouble, it helps. It does help. And then people feel protective and empowered over their own space. When people don't have any way to protect themselves, and people don't have a way to defend themselves or even like protect their space, people feel helpless. And if people feel helpless, they feel not safe. You see what you see? So like, in order to make a safe place, you gotta help other people in making their space safe by giving them the capability to protect what they have. Otherwise, they're dependent and helpless, and that's not a good place to be in as a community member. It really sucks. Whenever, you know, like the one person that could actually do anything is asleep, and then it kind of goes on for too long. I've seen that happen before. Okay, moving on away from that though. Transactional versus authentic. I think that you already touched on this. Someone did. Not here anymore, but it was about having engagement that is direct into the person and about the person themselves, asking them a question, asking them something that has absolutely nothing to do with what your server is about is the best thing. So if your server is about D&D, ask them about what it is that they like to do in their spare time that doesn't have to do with D&D, or ask them something that has to do with a favorite, like food, or what it is that what book have they read recently, why is it that they like the color that they like, what is their dog, how many dogs do they have, something that has nothing to do with what the purpose of the server is, because then it's not about transaction, it's about connection, and it's very clear and separated because there's no way those two things are attached, right? How many dogs do you have versus, like, you know, what's your favorite character, what's your favorite class? I mean, even if you ask that one, the class one, it's good, but it's not as better as something that is completely disconnected, because then it shows a very, very, very sharp delineation that it's about the person and not about what they're here for and what they can offer. Okay. This is it's a lot on these 5 things, because these are the 5 things that really do happen a lot. The rest of the talk, I promise, is gonna be much faster. How are you guys feeling? It's a lot of me flapping my gums. We'll take a break here. You guys feeling good? You guys want to take a break?
Yeah, break sounds
Okay.
amazing.
Alright.
It's also 1:15 midnight for me. So
Absolutely. Well then, let's go ahead and take a break until 30 after. I'm gonna put us on a break scene. I'll see you guys after a short break. There we go. Now I'm back. Hello, everybody. It was a little longer than I expected, but I just I needed to upload the very first part. Everything that I talked about that I was saying out loud, I wasn't even looking at the paper most of the time. I realized that I actually talked about most everything in the document, which is good. It means that we got through most everything. How are you guys feeling so far? You guys feeling okay? Are we all good? Are we all here?
So, the document is really wonderful.
Thank you. I really appreciate the compliment. I got a couple more coming y'all's way, but I'm glad that you enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm just getting a look at it because I also just returned.
I also put
this-
a couple of tools and templates that kind of go along with it to kind of help you. Like if you wanted to do the audit, but you wanted like a checklist that was not integrated in the document, I set it apart aside from the document, as well as of some other things like that we'll talk about here in a minute, like how to, like a list of values, a list of things that you could possibly choose from to kind of like think about on what you could base your server on. There's a lot in there. All right. I'll give you guys a chance to look over what's there if you like. Eric and DM Dingbat, are y'all here?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. All right. So the rest of this session is really fast. Actually, honestly, 50% of it was really just that the first half of this first document, because mindset, philosophy, psychology is not easy. It does take a lot of kind of going through, especially if you haven't taken those courses yourself or studied those things. Just wanted to make sure to kind of lay out the foundation really well, because everything else builds from this, and so it's really easy from here for the rest of today, I promise. Okay, so for the rest of this first document that I want to go over, remember how we were talking about, it's like that first cause is the hardest one to fix, right? Which is creating value and deciding what that is, right? For yourself, the other members, like what it is that we're working towards. That is, honestly, that is the hardest thing to choose, integrate, keep consistently, and then keep alive, like over a long period of time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of leadership. It takes a lot of a lot of energy, a lot of soul, a lot of mental thinking about this, and also how everyone else revolves around this thing as well. And so it is the one thing that a lot of communities will struggle with a lot at the beginning, and that's completely normal and natural, because anything that's really decided by a whole group of people means that it's not decided by us as individuals entirely, right? Which means that we're only one part of however many people there might be. I'm only one part out of 200, which is why I say I always defer actions and and the actual decision to the rest of the community. And if the rest of the community wants to overthrow me, well, that can't happen. But it'll be a little odd. It'd be a little unusual, but it could happen. I mean, if people really wanted to not have me decide or lead something, people can decide that. But would that happen? Maybe, maybe not. But if people wanted to have something included, it's best for like us as server owners or like people that created the space to kind of step to the side and let things happen, as long as it's like still within like reasonable bounds of like what it is that the space is about, right? So anyway, so all of this to come back to say, okay, so there is a interactive assessment in here. You don't have to do this right now, but it's a way for you to scale things from 1 to 5, and then see where it is that you fall on in terms of where your server is in terms of like, okay, how close is it to being a very community-based server to not being a very community-based server? Even if you don't do business or don't do professional GMing in your server, it kind of shows you more or less how close you are to the highest number, which is 25, which shows that you have a very active community. We have a very good basis or foundation for a good community to come forth. But that's for you guys to kind of do on your own. You don't have to share those numbers with me or anyone here. And let's see. Let me skip past then. All right, so creating community first principles. Yeah, this is the hardest part that a lot of people will struggle with, even whenever forming a community together, because even if you started a server like right now with 10 people, it's not enough really to decide what it is that the server stands for. You kind of have to give it some time to really grow into, and it'll probably be the last thing that you'll probably implement unless you already have like a very strong incentive to like fix a certain problem in the world. Like if you see something in the TTRPG space that you would like to fix, or you can create a space and something that you specifically have a lot of knowledge and also a lot of insight on, then by all means, like definitely go with your first intentions. But for a lot of people, they don't really know what to do beyond just D&D, and it kind of takes a bit of time, and it's oftentimes not entirely up to us. It's like a group conversation on what that should be. And whenever I had made the one here in the archives, I remember it very clearly. It was myself and about 40 other people who were sitting in a voice channel. It was the second marathon, and I had to ask people very directly, like, what do we stand for? And we created a whole document, actually, which I will post it here in the community and business growth resources. And for the longest time, I thought that I lost it. Ended up finding it about 3 weeks ago, and which I thought was pretty nice, because it was all about what it is that we stand for in the archives. And oh no, don't tell me that I lost it again. No. Okay, I'll find it and I'll post it. But basically it was, we were going into the details of like, well, this is the kind of change we want to see in the world. And it wasn't just up to me. It was like a group talk. We were all talking about the kind of things that we liked and the values that we all shared with each other. It was a conversation that was very meaningful. And it created a lot of, it created a lot of direction for the archives. I mean, people were feeling very very proud of like what we had created here, because we had created a very rare instance in which a community had formed when there was not an intention to make one, and it stuck. Because I didn't intend to make it the way that it came about with coming with that first world record marathon. And I don't think that people have to beat a world record in order to make a community. But also, remember when I said earlier that as fast as you gain something, you can also lose it just as fast? That's what happened to me, essentially, here. So that's why it kind of didn't last as long as I wanted to. And that's okay. Lessons were learned. And the people that stuck around that wanted to be a part of the archives are still here, actually. Sirach, Ace, I mean, they've been here the longest out of anybody. And there are still people that support the vision of like being able to connect people together. And I'm still here. I haven't given up. I still am here. I will still keep pushing for it in whatever way that I can. But case in point, it wasn't a conversation it wasn't something I decided on my own. It took a bunch of us coming together to be like, okay, what is it that we care about? Like, what is it that we care about actually? Like, what is it that we want to do? Because we have this space. We have people. We have people that care. What is it that we care about? And what is it that we want to see in this world? What change we want to add? What good change we want to see? And how are we going to get that change to occur, starting with us here? And that's kind of where it starts, is there. And it's a very hard question to ask, and it's also one that people might not have an answer to. And if you end up having a community that no one is compelled to make any big changes, because most people aren't, then you kind of have to scale it down a bit, and then you have to think to yourself, okay, so if I don't have people that are here to maybe help support me in this, then maybe I do need to start with, what is it that I care about? What is it that I want to fix? What is it I want to do? And then I might need to potentially at that point some restructuring, potentially having to focus on different people, because I will say, and I say this from personal experience because I had to kick so many people out, the only thing worse than having a server that really of people that are apathetic are people that are just not the right people for the type of vision that you want to do. It'll weigh views of what is right and wrong. I allowed people to step on me and disrespect me, and I allowed people to honestly stay a lot longer than they probably should have. That was my fault, because I didn't have the value and the knowledge and the experience to know what it is that I stood for, and what it is that I really should have not put up with, and not having boundaries, and that in turn led to me essentially shooting myself in the foot, unfortunately, and also wasting a lot of other people's time and really kicking a lot of people out that I really didn't want to, but it wasn't the type of culture that I wanted here. I didn't want to have a place that actively tries to like basically destroy the entire foundation and the entire system of what we made together just because of some small disagreements here. There are just people that didn't like something. It's very petty. So that's why the archives is what it is now. I'm the problem. I didn't have very clear vision at the very start. It started with me, and it's always going to start and end with the person at the very top. What it is that is okay, and what it is that's not okay. And you'll realize that as people kind of push those boundaries, that you really do have to stand up to say no more than you have to say yes to a lot of things, because it's really, people will bring stuff that you don't even think was something that would come up or maybe come to your community eventually. You have to be able to recognize it, and then also have it be something that the community also recognizes that they don't want, and almost like come together to shield themselves from whatever it is that the community doesn't stand for. For example, here in the archives, I don't tolerate negativity, negative mindsets, negative outlooks, negative perspectives, things that tear us apart. Those kind of people, I didn't even have to say anything. People at the archives, they'll automatically just shoo them away without me having to do anything, because they cared a lot about being able to maintain our peace and being able to maintain our goal, because we can't fix a world if we're only tearing each other apart. And so that's kind of what we stood for here. Well, we still stand for that here, even if it's a little bit quieter and there's not very many people aside from myself that still kind of maintain that perspective. Having to protect what you care about is a very important thing, and people need to be very also like coming into that vision as well, which is why it's so important that people make this together. And I would probably make this around, oh gosh, maybe around 50 members is a good spot. 50 like active, 30 maybe active members. I think that'd be like a server size of like 100. And it's okay if like between now and then all you're doing is running games and basically forming connections where you can, and seeing what it is that and seeing who it is that comes into your Discord server, because you really don't know who's going to come in and what they're going to bring, what skills they're going to bring, what energy they're going to bring, because good energy looks different, you know, for different people. There's not a one size fits all, right? And so how will you know if it's working? If you're going the right way with your vision and with your and what it is that you're coming together for, you'll know it's going the right way whenever the community is going in the direction that the community decides success looks like. Not you, but the other people. Typically that is measured by satisfaction, relationships forming, a positive impact on people's lives, where they actually state something like, I feel a lot happier being here. I feel like ever since I've been here, I've grown in these exact ways. Since I've been here, this is how my life has improved. Those are positive indicators, and they're typically things that people say, or you see, or like you see a difference in like how they came in versus where they are months down the line. Also, what people prioritize and what you prioritize, and are going to be the core values and the principles of what you stand for. So things like how you handle conflict, how you engage people, how you bring people in, how you make people feel welcomed, how you prioritize their sense of belonging and who they are as a person to connect with other people, how you prioritize different things like fairness versus growth, etc. And all of those things kind of come together to form a community, which is why there are no two communities that are alike, because there are no two people that are alike on this world. So imagine 100 different people are going to be different than another bunch of 100 different people. You're going to have your specific things that you all like, that you all stand for, your history. Here in the archives, you have a history with mayonnaise, lemons, and also having cults with milk. We have a food problem, I will admit, and it starts for me. But you guys probably would have never guessed that just looking at the archives. We have quite a bit of a history here. But aside from that, once you kind of get beyond that, it's all about 3 pillars on being able to maintain everything afloat, so that way it continues to stay forward, which is 1, how do people build genuine relationships? What is the way that people connect? That is not the actual game itself of D&D. How is it that you are getting people to talk to each other and have a discussion or a a conversation without you being the one to force them together all the time. The more that you see other people naturally doing that, the better. So what I do is whenever starting or like revamping, like here, I talked to a couple people already that have been in the archives, and I said, hey, whenever it's back, all I want you to do is just ask questions. Just be genuinely interested in the people that are here. I asked them, like, just ask them what their favorite this or that is. Just get to know the people that are in the server that have been here for a little bit. Reach out, like, say hi, because those things will actually attract a lot more people to your server than trying to retain people in. Actually, it's 10 times more effective than advertising. You will get a 10 times multiplier on your business output as well because of that. Businesses that don't maintain a community focused kind of relationship with the community people overall, they end up lagging behind those that do. And the ones that do have a community behind them, they have literal, I mean, I don't even think it's quantifiable. I mean, how fast did some of the Kickstarters fill in the last 2 years that were backed up, even though they were business oriented, were filled by the communities that were in there? MCDM is a good example, like instantly almost, I think within the same day. I think there was one Kickstarter that filled within like an hour. I forgot which one it was though. That's a good example of a good community business relationship. Second pillar, contribution. How do members add value beyond payment and beyond business? And I don't mean like they play D&D, they add memes. Beyond that, beyond the small talk, what is it that they're actually bringing in? Is it their energy? Are they trying to engage with others and actually creating a magnet where like others gravitate around those individuals? Are they like glue, bringing people together? Are they funny? Are they actually like reaching out towards people when they come in instead of you being the person saying hi? What is it that they're adding? Are they starting events voluntarily? Are they starting events or discussions, providing emotional support? Maybe they're sharing expertise on topics that you have no expertise yourself. Like there is one server that I love to death, and it's called Floki's Tavern. If you've never heard of it, this is your free advertising, Floki's Tavern. I love them so much. They're also a server that also just authentically came together. There's like a core 50 amount of them, and the last time I was there was 2 months ago, and I came back, and they're even bigger and they're even more connected. I love Floki's Tavern. If you want to learn and see what a real, like, authentic community-based server is like, go to Floki's Tavern. Like, I promise you'll learn a lot just by being there for 1 week and seeing how they interact and how they do things. I love them to death. I really do. I tell them all the time. And I'm not sure that they understand the depth of why I love them so much, because I've been through so much and I've seen a lot. But they're such a good group. I would go join them. In fact, I could just put the community Discord invite link here, and I'll just tell them later why there's all of a sudden a bunch of people going over there. They're an extremely great group to kind of go get some real authentic connection and like seeing how it is that they do stuff. And I will put their server invite link in the community and business growth resources. There we go. Floki's Tavern, really good group. Number 3, celebration. How do you recognize and appreciate the people that are doing things? It's about more than acknowledging achievements and milestones. It's about making feel valued and appreciated because they're putting the effort towards something. And people like to be recognized, having things be like positive oriented and also kind of like unique. Okay, so this is bringing back the food again. Back during marathon, it was marathon 3. Whenever we had raised $3,000 for charity, it was for the ACPCA. I told them that if we got that amount, I would actually entirely cover myself in 7 liters of mayonnaise. And I did. I covered myself in 7 liters of mayonnaise on stream, and I sat in it in 6 hours. It broke the washing machine. There's an actual short on my YouTube if you want to see it. It actually was kind of refreshing. I kind of liked it, weirdly enough. I do love mayonnaise myself, but it did break the washing machine. I slipped twice in the shower, and my skin was flawless and glossy for weeks. But hey, they wanted to see me suffer in mayonnaise, and so I gave them that. That was my way of giving them the weird appreciation, sick and twisted as it was. They actually liked it a lot, and it actually kind of did bring a lot of smiles to people's faces. I didn't mind. I mean, I don't mind making a fool of myself. I'm very confident in who I am. But it was my way of saying like, here you go, guys. I will do this thing if we manage to get this goal. They got $3,000 within, I believe, 2 days of the marathon starting, and then it kind of like tapered off after the Mayo monster came out. But still, it was incredible to see how much people had put effort just to want to see me cover myself in a condiment for 6 hours. It was incredible. Beyond that, though, I do reach out to people, like tell them how much I do appreciate it, and have it be genuine too. I've given books to people, I've given products to people, I've given stuff that I've published to people for free without them asking for it. I just kind of give it. You know, I no matter how big or small, if people are like genuinely writing a message and they're saying hi, I told them thank you in DMs. I do everything I can to make people feel seen, no matter how small the contribution is. Okay, aside from that, there are some things to do from all of this that value knowing what it is that you stand for. It's an actual small exercise that I put down there in one of the tools that you can look at, go through your server, start to think about these things. Don't, beat yourself up over it if it takes a month, maybe more, to kind of figure it out. It takes time to kind of settle upon value and meaning and intention, and then having to like embody that with who you are and like what it is that you stand for, what it is that you want to see. It's a very big thing. It's not a small decision, so take your time figuring it out. It's not going to happen all in a day. Your Discord community members might not know what that is either, and so you might have to like help some of that like community, like group, almost like group therapy. You guys come together like, what do you guys feel? What do you guys stand for? And everything think beyond oneself is also very hard if people are not used to like a leadership position in that sense. And that is part 1, case closed. There you go. What do you guys think? It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. And look, meaning and engagement and philosophy, it's like, it's such a big foundation. Community is not easy to grow. There's so many facets to it. There's so many small, like 1,000 million small choices, and each one of those add to everything. And so, yeah, it is quite a bit. The other stuff, very easy to figure out. Why? Because it's about, well, what bots do you feel welcomed? How is it that you can avoid overwhelming people? What kind of questions should you have? How do you share space? What kind of focus should you have in forming these things? What kind of narrative? What kind of memory does the server have? How do you make a voice for people? How do you make deeper connections? What kind of voice channels? All of these things, if I just stopped here, it'll make sense, because remember how earlier I was asking you guys, like, what are the solutions to those 5 things? That's what documents 2, 3, and 4 are about. It's the solutions to those 5 things. That's the rest of this. It's just that. It's how do you maintain purpose? How do you attract people? How do you retain people? What do you do exactly? How, when, why? Like, what is the reason that this or that happens? And not all of this is going to be applicable all the time. You're gonna each have different problems in very specific ways that sometimes not even I will have a great answer on how to approach it, because the people that will have the answer are the people in your community, because they're the ones that will have all the context and also the value and the drive to actually make the decisions for those things rather than myself. So I could just post these things here, and I'll post them now. And what I'll do is that I'll let you guys look it over, and we'll talk about anything that you guys set your eyes on, because as much as I talked about for one document, I could talk about the rest of these just as much. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just let you know like what the end of all of this is, which is after you read through all of this, it's make a plan. Make an actionable plan and write down what it is that you have now, what you want to arrive at in 1 month. Because the next 30 days after today, after this planning, after this week, is all about getting you from here to there. But this week, it's all about understanding where you are, who are the people that you have with you, and what it is that you lack, and how are you going to get what you need, and making actual definitive steps towards that direction. But it only works if you actually put in the actual time and energy and effort. Otherwise, it'll never get where you want it to get to, and it'll just end up as part of the 90% that fails. What do you guys think about that? It's very extreme, right? It's like either this happens or it doesn't, essentially. I mean, there is no middle ground, I think. You can maybe get it close, kind of like here. Like we kind of have like a sort of community. But I wouldn't say that if I left for a month, that I would come back to people talking. I think that it would be dead without me here, right? It's kind of that same thing. You can't really have it halfway. Take your stuff out of the picture and then expect it to thrive when it doesn't have blood, it doesn't have lungs, it doesn't have legs, it doesn't have a brain, it doesn't have anything for it to survive on its own. But here are the documents. 1, 2, 3, 1, 4. Oop, community. And I will put everything that I've not put so far here as well. Oops, too many. Okay. All right, there it is. It's 3 core pieces of knowledge and then 12 templates and tools to kind of help. I really did put a lot of work into this, as you can tell. I want to make sure you have everything. I don't want to leave any rock unturned. I want to make sure you'll succeed, and if I die tomorrow, at least you'll have a successful community, right? So that's the goal. I'll give you guys some time to look it over in silence, and I'll just sit here until you guys see something you want to talk about. And then we'll say like 30 minutes. So we'll call this like overtime. Or if you guys want to go because it's late and tired, by all means, don't feel like you have to stay the whole time.
I was about to say it's 1 a.m. for me. I have to go to bed.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for staying so late with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the effort and work you put into this. It's very appreciated.
You're very welcome, Tom. Well, you have a good night, and hope you have some good rest, and I look forward to seeing well, I guess to seeing you next week as well, like seeing how all of this works out for the next week.
Yeah. So, have a good one.
Bye. Have a good one. Oh shoot, I forgot to actually pay attention to the messages in case you guys are saying something to me. Hold on, let me go check.
Well, thank you for presenting all of that. I also have to take off. I look forward to making another one, but thank you for hosting. Catch y'all later.
Have a good one. Wait, am I here? There we go. Have a good one. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you next week. And I look forward to hearing how this week turns out for y'all.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Adios. Eric and Casey, do either of you two have anything? Oh, you gotta go to Casey. Okay. Thank you so much, Casey, for coming by. And Eric, what about you? If you're still here. Maybe it's just me. Which is entirely fine. I do got a message I want to put in general chatting. I don't think that'll make sense to anyone but me. But I just wanted to say it. Let's see.